we are entering one of the most critical periods of time, week, in front of us that any of us have ever faced. And it will have a major impact on something that we follow very closely, silver and gold. We're going to dive into that in this video. But let's start by talking about the three big factors right now that uncertainty is ruling the day. Guys, the big election. And I'll tell you, hello, Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. Thank you for the 5x5 from a remote location. And also thank you to my friend Little Ricky back at the house, helping to coordinate all of this. Guys, we are facing this period of time, this election, and it will have a major impact on the silver and gold price. Now, have you noticed there is a wide range of expectations about what we could see with the precious metals prices over the coming week? I'm going to tell you, you hear if Trump wins, this will happen. If Kamala wins, this will happen. And I've heard conflicting reports, conflicting ideas. I think there's one thing that we can say for sure, and that is that we need to be prepared for uncertainty. Anyone who's telling you they know who's going to win the election, and even if they did know who's going to win the election, what is going to happen in the precious metals market is lying to you. No one knows for sure, right? And I will never purposely lie to you. I'll give you my opinions, but I want to tell you why this is actually probably a really great thing for the price of silver and the price of gold. I've talked about the fact that I think by the end of this week, we could have much higher prices in silver. And the same is true for gold. But why? I'll tell you why. Because there is so much uncertainty right now that when it kind of boils through, depending on how things work out here in the next few days, we could see that uncertainty being converted into people moving to precious metals. We'll see how it plays out, but that's what's going to happen. The election, buckle up, right? Right. The one thing we can say for sure is that there is going to be a lot of uncertainty in the coming 4 or 5 days. Now, what's not uncertain is the fact that the Fed, remember, we have a Federal Reserve meeting this week. Jerome Powell from the Federal Reserve is going to be talking to us again about how robust the economy is and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Think about this. In the absence of this upcoming election, that would be the biggest news story in the history of the civilized world for silver and gold. But it's like an afterthought at this point. But I want to give you a little reminder, okay? Tuesday, tomorrow is the election. Thursday, we will hear from the Fed, right? And while the Fed is losing a lot of its power, right? It's not the same Fed that it was in the year 2000, right? That was peak power by the United States Federal Reserve. They squandered that. They printed that away, toilet paper money. We're not stupid, okay? Okay, but the Fed still has some sway over the markets and the precious metals. It's unbelievable. It's a done deal now. I'm going to show you right now that the Fed is going to cut rates by 1/4 point on Thursday. Okay, let's go take a look at the CME FedWatch tool, and then we're going to go take a look at the silver and gold price. Do an update there. I got you on the right screen. There we are. This guy there. Here's your reminder. 3 days and 3 hours. So yeah, that'll be Thursday afternoon around 1 o'clock Eastern, Central, somewhere in that time range. We're going to hear from Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve. But look at this. This is astounding. Okay, there's now a 99.8% chance that they're going to cut rates by 1/4 point. That's this number right here. You can compare this range to this range. It's 1/4 point lower, but there is a 0.2% chance, right? So there's no longer a chance that they're not going to cut, that they're not going to do anything. The zero or raise rates is at 0% probability. But there is a 0.2%. If my math is correct, that means a 1 in 500 chance that we would get this down here. You can barely see it. Let's break the crayons out. What do you say, basement dwellers? Huh? Oh, I forgot the most important part. Darn it. Anyway, a 0.2% chance. Basically, this means a done deal that we're going to have a 1/4 point cut on Thursday by the Fed. And then they're saying 4 more cuts in the first 6 months of next year to get the rate down to like 3 point something. I don't know. Really, at this point, like we've talked about so many times, whatever the Fed does, the Fed is losing its potency. The Fed is losing its power over the monetary system, over the world financial system, not so much the US monetary system, but really think about it. We know that interest rates have gone up by almost 3/4 of a point since the last time they cut rates. So what's this rate cut going to mean? Rates are going to go up another 0.5%? I mean, it doesn't really quite make sense. I forgot the most important part. Thank you for joining us today. You. Okay, guys, I know, man, life can be challenging. Life can be difficult. Life can be beautiful. Life can be everything, but we always come together. And I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the support that you guys show towards Susie, myself, our family, the channel, your fellow basement dwellers. It's a big deal. Okay. We're kind of like a happy family of people, and we share one thing in common. We love gold and silver. So please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and leave a comment. Super chat, super thanks. Never appreciate, never, always appreciated, never expected. Sorry, I've been under a little stress lately, so bear with me, my friends. Bear with me. All right, let's get back to it here because it is crazy. Not only do we have that, so we've got the massive election tomorrow. Uncertainty. Massive. I mean, that's like the most uncertain thing in the history of any of our lives. Do you realize that? Do you remember anything? I think it's affecting me. Is it affecting you? I think it's affecting like my stress level, my mood. We also have a sick cat and some other stuff going on. But anyway, that's my personal problems. I won't share them. We all have our problems. But is the uncertainty around the election? It's affecting my mood, like it's like anxiety or something. I don't know. It's very, very strange time. The one thing we know about the silver and gold price as we get through this quote unquote election, hopefully get through it, is that there's uncertainty. That's the only certainty. Okay. We know also, right? But we do know for certain that the Fed's only going to cut rates by 0.25%. The way this world's going, who knows? Maybe they'll cut by 1/2. That would be very good, but that's a 1 in 500 chance, according to the big money bettors at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. We also have this massive geopolitical things going on. These are the big factors, right? These are the big factors that are affecting the silver and gold price. And geopolitics matter, right? Because at the end of the day, gold and silver are the ultimate stores of value. And later on, we're going to talk about some scary, okay? I will scare you. So if at the end of this live stream, if you don't want to be scared, run off and go for a walk or do whatever. But there's some scary developments in the world geopolitically, but we're not going to talk about those right now. Next, we're going to check out the silver price and gold price in the United States. And then we're going to go to China because there's some very interesting developments in China right now with the precious metals prices. But let's run out here to our friends at Pinbex. And let me make sure. Okay, looks like we're down. Oh my gosh. Hold on here. All right. Get you to the right screen. You know what? We need to do an update, guys. I'm going to press the Pinbex magic button, the little gold triangle, and ooh, look at that. All right. Gold's up $8 now. Silver up 17 cents to 32.58. Hey, I want to say thank you, number one, to you for being here. Number two, to our channel sponsor, Pinbex. They make this live stream video possible. Thank you, Pinbex. They're an online bullion dealer that if you choose to check them out, right, you're going to find what I found. They always have ultra competitive pricing, a great selection. It's a company you can trust. To me, it's a one-stop shop. Like if, you know, we got enough stress in our lives. We don't need to stress out for hours on end, searching all over the internet for the best price and then try to figure out if it's a company. With Pinbex, it's always a company I found that I can trust. And I know that a lot of you have found the same thing. Those of you who've checked out Pinbex, I have received overwhelming positive response. Thank you, Pinbex, for sponsoring Ron's Basement. And if you ever decide, please, you know, when you're watching CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, whatever you choose to watch, there's all these gold IRA conversion. There's all these buy gold. And it's always a retired actor or a ex-football star or something like that saying, I choose to go with XYZ. Please be very careful. If you ever decide to convert part or all of an IRA to precious metals, take your time, shop around, do yourself a favor, talk to the guys at Pinbex, talk to Mike or Brian, about your situation. Compare what different companies can do for you. Compare, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but look at all your options and compare how many actual ounces of physical metal, how many ounces of silver, how many ounces of gold you will get from the different companies. I think if you check out Pimbex, you might just be absolutely shocked. Okay. But at the end of the day, I just want you to be careful. Take your time if you ever decide to do that, and always convert, stack responsibly, all that great stuff. Where are we going next? China. Let's go to the Shanghai Gold Exchange and our friend, the Oriental Ghost. Let's look at the data. Then he had something very interesting to tell you about gold in China. Very interesting. And I don't want you to fall victim to the same thing, but on the Shanghai, I emphasize the high because the price is always higher, as we know. Look at that. Silver, AG, on the SGE, the Shanghai Gold Exchange, silver in US dollars, right there where my cursor is, closed at $34.86. And I do not have you on the right screen. I apologize. Now we're back. Okay. Here's the Shanghai Gold Exchange. I won't go through all that again. Here's silver, AG, Shanghai Gold Exchange, $34.86. Now I'm paranoid. Okay, so we'll go back there. Let's though, and where were we in the US? 3250? Yeah, 3258. Hey, let's just do an update now. Come on, silver, 10 cents. Come on, silver, 3251. All right. But let's see what the Shanghai Ghost also had to say. This is interesting. He says, a consumer in China said, when gold skyrockets to 520 yuan per gram, I gradually sold my gold. This guy sold his gold. Now it has risen to 630 yuan through gram, and I have no more gold to sell. Gold is still rising. I've lost gold. A few people bought gold and stacked it. The market data, there's the market data. So what he's talking about is people who, as the price went up in China, there are some people who were like, I'm going to sell, which everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of dealing with it, right? These people sold their gold, right? Probably sold some silver as well, but the price just keeps going higher and higher. And now they converted their gold, and in their case, into Chinese yuan. They don't have gold anymore or silver for that matter. We don't want to be in that position, right? I always say, if you're ever going to sell, buy on a dollar cost average basis, but it's critical too to sell. And there's a reason why on a dollar cost average basis. Okay. And I would say convert, because I would never, if you're going to convert your metals into something, I personally would not want to convert them into paper money, but you want to get out the same way you got in, little by little, because if you sell everything at once, you're taking a big risk that you wind up sitting there with a bunch of paper money, right? Or whatever you converted it into, and the value of gold and silver could continue to go much, much, much higher. There was something else. The silver price. Guys, the silver price is being majorly impacted by copper. Let's run out really quickly. This is where I like, you get into habits of going certain places. This is CEO.ca. It's a Canadian precious metals website. Here's the copper price, right? Copper is flying, $4.43. This is a resistance level. But why we're looking at copper is because silver is being increasingly recently, right, affected by the copper price. All right. Now, what about more gold in China? This is getting crazy. More gold news out of China. Let me say hi to you guys. Hey, thank you for being here. 500 people on a Monday morning. You are important, right? You got a head on your shoulders. Listen to what I have to say. Listen to what other people have to say. Help us learn from each other. Leave comments in the comment section together, right? We can learn so much. You do not have to agree with me. Trust me, I don't agree with myself oftentimes. And Susie, I can guarantee you, Silver Susie, my lovely wife, who many of you know, she oftentimes does not agree with me. But let's talk about something we can agree on. Where is it? Oh, shoot. Hold on here, guys. Hold on here. See if I can pull this up. Gold demand. And here it is. Bloomberg. Sorry about that. Let me make sure we got you. Hopefully we're still live. Okay. We've got crazy developments in the gold market all over the world, but this is from Bloomberg, okay? Talking about the craze that's going on right now in China for gold. The epicenter of China's gold craze is a former fishing village. Demand for the precious metals has shoppers flocking to a jewelry hub in Shenzhen. I'm not good at pronouncing that. But let's just read the first couple paragraphs. This is shocked. You will not believe how many gold shops there are in this one town. In a cavernous multi-story mall, customers jostle for space amid endless rows of glass display cabinets that glimmer under the bright lights. The space thrums with excitement as shoppers gaze down at bracelets, rings, necklaces, and other finely crafted treasures. What do you think they're looking at? All right, we're just going to read one more paragraph here. Welcome. Let me highlight that. Welcome to Shubei in Shenzhen, a former fishing village in southern China that's become an epicenter of the nation's voracious appetite for gold and a street-level barometer of economic and market forces impacting demand. More than 10,000 businesses. 10,000. Think of a 10,000-seat arena. There's 10,000 businesses are clustered across several city blocks, a labyrinth of opulence that's among the largest gold retail market in the world. Hello, China, right? According to the IMF, China is the world's biggest economy. Think about that. China also has a gold craze going on. So does India, so does Russia. But anyway, think about that. China is the world's biggest economy. China has a gold craze going on. The central banks have kind of pulled back on their buying, but it's the world consumers now deciding, and people like you, are you doing it? Right? The Costco dads that are deciding to be their own central banks. But guys, I don't know, are you floored? I was floored when I learned that in that one village in China, there's 10,000 businesses, which the article alludes to are all selling precious metals. 10,000. That's happening in our world right now. And that's gold, yes, but the Chinese are becoming more and more fond of silver. And we know, right? We know what's going on in India. And these countries, I haven't said this for a while, 1.4 billion people live in China. Okay, 1.4 billion people live in India. That's 2.8 billion. There's 330 million in the United States. That's like 8 times the number of people, 8 times the population. Okay, it is real. It is happening. And there was one more crazy thing about China. Hold on here, one more second here. Oh, this is silver with China. Let me see if I can find this. Hold on here. Thanks for being here, guys. Nope. Where did it go? Hold on here. Did I lose it? No. Let's go back here and back. You get to go on a little Warren Buffett. Here it is. This is from the guy King Kong, who's on. He's another Asian. I think he lives in Hong Kong. Eric Yuan. Okay. Wait till you see this. This is about silver. Okay, this is a clip from CCTV, China's government TV station. Okay, he cut out the best parts. I'm not going to watch it, but there's 2 key points here about China. Okay, and silver. The Chinese are aware of the naked silver short positions in the market. Okay, and by the way, this is the person talking is a market analyst from Tsinghua University. That's one of China's top universities. And he says the Chinese are aware of the naked short positions in the market. Okay. He goes on to say, I'm going to highlight this, that the naked short silver shorts are very careful now because there is a physical silver shortage and they won't be able to find enough physical silver when buyers demand physical silver deliveries. This is on Chinese state television. An analyst from a top university saying, oh, we know we know what a precarious, I'm looking for the right appropriate word to use, situation that the Western silver, the COMEX and the LBMA, that those markets are in. It is not at all good. He also says, this is great. The DXY, right? That's the dollar index. That's the big measure that the mainstream media likes to talk about when they talk about the strength of the dollar. And what he says is the DXY is a smokescreen. Okay, it measures the US dollar against US allies' currencies. I never thought about that. And it does not measure the true strength of the US dollar. So we've got Chinese state television telling us this about silver. Think about this, okay? Right? That they're aware of the big silver short position and what it's going to lead to, which is going to be an explosion in the silver price. Okay? That's China, right? Again, from their state television. And telling us that the DXY, I love that, it's a smokescreen. It only compares the currency, the dollar, as compared to other allies in the thing. All right. I want to say thank you to channel sponsor, First Mining Gold. Here's their website, guys. Okay, again, they help make this possible. Canadian gold developer with 2 multi-million ounce projects in Canada. You can learn more about them here at firstmininggold.com. And channel sponsor, Fortuna Mining. They're an active mining company, silver and gold in Latin America, and they're mining an ever-increasing amount of gold in West Africa. You can learn about them here at fortunamining.com. Now, I have a question for you. Who's the world's most famous investor? Warren Buffett. Is Warren Buffett sending massive warning alert to you and me in the market? Wouldn't we want to see what Warren Buffett is doing? Everybody talks about Warren Buffett, Warren Buffett. I'm not super fond of him. I don't dislike him, but I think he's overrated. But nonetheless, his track record is good. And is he telling us that we are heading? He is telling us, if you look at his actions, that we're heading towards doom. And let me show you the reasons why. Let me show you here. Here it is. This came from the Kobisi letter. Warren Buffett, think about this. Warren Buffett sending a big alarm. Here's some reasons, some examples why. He sold over $100 billion of Apple stock. $100 billion. He halted Berkshire Hathaway stock buybacks. We'll talk about that more later. He built the largest position, cash balance position in the company history, $325 billion. He holds a record $288 billion in U.S. Treasury bills. What's important to note about that is Treasury bills, I think they're like government debt that matures within the next 12 months. A Treasury bond is something that's longer. It might be 2 years, but Treasury bills are short-term U.S. government debt, very short-term. He now owns $93 billion more Treasury bills than the Fed. Okay, and he's halted buybacks on his own company stock until the price is below Berkshire's intrinsic value. Warren Buffett is positioning like a recession is coming. I forgot to pull it up again. Oh boy, hold on here, guys. Here we go. All right, here we go. Hold on. Just so I give proper credit, you heard me read that one out, but that was from right here, from the Kobisi letter. Sorry, I am, sometimes it gets a little challenging trying to do 3 or 4 things at once. I'm like the one-man band on the corner, you know? But nonetheless, that's what Warren's telling us. Trouble, trouble, trouble. He may not be verbally saying it to us, right? But he's putting boards on the windows because he knows a hurricane is coming. He knows trouble is on the horizon, okay? So that's the situation there. What about more U.S. doom? Okay, what about the U.S. debt? What about this idea that the United States could default? We talked a little bit about this last night, but we need to cover this one more time. We are all suffering from recency bias, all of us, okay? We have never experienced, those of us that live in the United States or the Western world, a real, true, serious currency issue, okay? And it can happen. Nobody thinks the USA, nobody thought that the British Empire would ever default. Nobody ever thought the Roman Empire, the people that lived there. So everything's great. It's always been great, right? My entire life. No, guys, it can happen because the numbers don't lie. Okay. The US, and we need to go do our daily check. Let's go run out. Let's go on our field trip. The numbers don't lie. And this situation is untenable right now. Let's get over there and get an update on the U.S. national debt. We are getting precariously close to 36 trillion. I wonder if we'll hit it before the big election tomorrow. There's only one way this gets resolved, okay, and that's by default, because anyone I'm hearing, all the experts, and when I apply my own calculator to this, the United States government is in a situation where, with the current value of the US dollar, we will not be able to pay this debt back. Okay, we're at almost 300,000 in debt per US taxpayer. That is untenable. That is unmanageable. Okay, so how does that work? Countries historically countries will either default, just say sorry, we're not going to pay, we're done, or they will print money. We know the most likely outcome will be the printing of money. And let's go. Wow. Check our daily check of the dollar to silver ratio. Now $963 per ounce. Remember, it was just last week or 10 days ago. This was in the 700s. This means that the U.S. government Fed is creating 963 U.S. paper dollars in M2 money supply for each and every 1 ounce of silver that's being produced. We're keeping track of this. Let's go down here. Okay, today is the 4th, all right? Did I miss one? Here we go, 11-4-24. I hope I have you guys on the right screen with me, which I do, okay? And it continues to skyrocket. I mean, and what's scary about this is 963. Look at this number, right? The 21st of October, not even 2 weeks ago. The 23rd of October, not even 17 days ago, 18 days ago, we were at 741. We shot up, but we continue to go up and up. It's already a high enough number, but it continues to absolutely increase. This is not a good sign. This is not a good sign, guys. This is the reality. This is the math. And I promise I'll zip it. But that will have a major, major impact. And the BRICS are worried about it. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Guys, what does that mean? And why is that so important? The BRICS countries, right? And even the non-BRICS, or the ones who haven't decided yet, like Saudi Arabia, are worried about the U.S. government's fiscal situation. Don't forget also, in early 2025, which is just 2 short months from right now, okay, they're gonna have to decide on increasing the spending limits. This is not a good situation. We're gonna keep an eye on it. We'll see how it all plays out. Okay, this is the part where I'm going to scare you. Okay, this is the part where you're going to get scared, because we talked about the election, right? We talked about the national debt. We talked about the Fed meeting, but geopolitics in this world right now are getting downright frightening. I want to talk to you about some major developments and put it all together. World War III. Okay, are we on the cusp of? Are we already in World War III? I don't know. I don't want to be a doomsday guy or anything like that, but it is getting darn scary. North Korean official in Moscow just recently said the U.S. and South Korea are plotting a nuclear strike. North Korea now has missiles. I don't know if you saw this. They tested some ICBM type missiles that can reach the United States. That's North Korea. Russia. Okay, Russia says the United States and Russia are very close to engaging in, quote, direct military conflict. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said that in an interview published on November 1st. Very close, United States and Russia, to direct military outfit. It was published in the Turkey Daily just days ahead of the U.S. presidential election. what's going on in Europe. Okay. It says, quote, under the current president, Joe Biden, who's taken the downward spiral of Russophobia into the U.S., it is a logical conclusion our countries are on the brink of direct military conflict. That's what Sergei Lavrov said. And let's go see what the Europeans are feeling about what is going on in the world right now. That's not it. Here we go. This comes from BRICS News. Just in, the European Union warns its citizens to stockpile food and supplies in case of a war with Russia. Okay. This came out a few days back, said, quote, as part of the strategy, the EU should advise households to be prepared to be self-sufficient for a minimum of 72 hours in the event of an emergency. So that's what's going on in the world. How do you feel about this? Do you feel like we're on the cusp of World War III? Do you feel like maybe it's actually started? I mean, you got to realize something. I wouldn't think, oh, and then, hold on. Where did it go? Iran. I forgot one. I apologize. Okay. Their supreme leader, Khamenei, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that, warns Israel. They warned Israel and the U.S. of a crushing response for the recent actions against Iran. Okay. The recent bombings in Iran. The supreme leader had struck a more cautious approach in earlier remarks after Israel airstrikes on Iran last week. Now he is calling for, this is the president of Iran, the supreme leader of Iran, a crushing response. Iran, North Korea, Russia, what else? What am I forgetting? That's just to name a few, right? We also have the situation with China and Taiwan. We are in very precarious times, geopolitical turmoil. Who knows? Hopefully it all blows over. It's not a big deal, but we aren't going to keep our heads in the sand. We aren't going to be like, oh, there's nothing going on. Yes, there's a major election going on. That could be crazy. The Fed meeting, supposedly a done deal. But the other big factor, and it will have a serious impact on the price of silver and gold, is the war. Because when countries are at war, right, they don't want each other's paper money. Because depending on how things play out, right, the money may or may not be worth anything subsequent to the military conflict that could be going on. So we don't want anything bad to happen, but we also aren't going to keep our heads buried in the sand. All right. What about recession or depression? Right? Could we have a depression in this country? I think we could. We've talked about that. The D word, we've called it. It's not out of the question. A recession. I mean, when you look at those numbers that have just been ignored by your politicians, the debt numbers, the deficit numbers, everything else, a depression is not really out of the question, right? And anyone who tells you it is lying to you. But here's just one example of what's going on in a slowing U.S. economy. In continuing signs that the U.S. consumer is tapped, Nissan is cutting production of its main models by 30%, according to a new report from the Nikkei. This came from Zero Hedge, which says the cuts could jeopardize the automaker's 2024 sales targets, cutting production by 30% in the United States because of weakness with the U.S. consumer. Nissan forecast a 99% drop in quarterly operating profit to $6 million and a 12% decline for the year, citing weakness in U.S. market earnings, the report says. Nissan, right? Major car manufacturer, right? Cutting production by 30%. Boeing, laying people off. Intel, laying people off. These are good paying jobs. This is not a good sign for the U.S. economy, okay? We'll keep an eye on how all this plays out. We need to do that. I want to run out one more time and tell you guys about what I think could be a great Christmas present for that hard to buy for person, the DirtyMan SAFE, okay? There's the dirty old man. Here's their best sellers. The Dirty Man, the Dirty Old Man. This is a safe that you can bury in the ground and store things in your yard where only you. It's like having buried treasure in your backyard. You can go to their website here. It's DirtyManSAFE.com. Check it out. They sent me a couple of the products. I was really impressed. I was like, wow, this is super cool. It's like being able to put like hidden treasure in your yard, right? Where only you know about it. So check out Dirty Man Safe. We do have a discount code RON10 if you're interested, but I think it could be a great a present idea. You know, there's always like, oh my God, what am I going to get these? Oh my gosh, what am I going to get these people for Christmas? If you have a stacker or somebody who likes to, you know, collect valuable things, you might want to check it out. I think it's an interesting, very interesting product, very high quality. Like I said, RON10, I think, is a code you can use to get 10% off. Thank you for being here, guys. Buckle up, Buttercup. It is going to be a very interesting couple days here ahead of us. I'll be here with you through it all. Let's go check real quickly and do an update. Let's hope it's still green. We're going to go to Pimbex and get an update on the silver and gold. All right, we're up 12 cents. Gold at $5, so we're holding our own. Don't forget that price, $32.50 per ounce, is critical for us to hold with silver. 32, 31.50, it's okay. You know, it's not the end of the world, but we really need to stay in this range where we are in the silver price. And as then all this uncertainty is processed over the coming days, I think there's a really great chance that we could see some big increases in the silver and gold price. Thank you to all you guys for being here. Okay, have a great day. Hopefully I'll be on here tomorrow to say hi to you. And thanks again to my good friend, little Ricky, back at the house for coordinating things and keeping us going. Thank you, thank you, thank you.